Devin McCourty is brought to you by the Top Defense. If you've been injured, Catches Law Group. At Catches, you pay nothing unless they win, and they are the official law firm of the New England Patriots. And Devin McCourty joins us on the Harbor One hotline. Hey, Dev.
Hey, what's happening?
How you doing?
I'm doing well.
You can help me out a little bit because I hear from time to time, or have heard from time to time, the last couple days on this radio show, big deal. Patriots beat the Jets, the lowly Jets, with Zach Wilson. Your takeaways, your takeaways from that game?
Takeaways from the game: the Patriots won. Other than that, when you look at the AFC East, Miami dropped 70. I think Buffalo had 30 or 40 points. Those two teams look good. The game Sunday kind of looked like the battle for third place. That's what it just felt like. It felt like the other two teams on another level. But I think if you're a New England fan, you know that team sometimes takes a while to get started. Big game coming up this weekend in Dallas. Dallas did not look like they looked the first 2 weeks, so if I had to have one big takeaway, it would be excitement about the rest of the season for New England Patriots fans starting Sunday.
Dev, I think that a lot of us New England fans are very excited about the defense, and we've kind of been that way for the past couple of years. We're just super hesitant on this offense. In your opinion, how bad or how much does it need to change to get us on track to believe that, okay, they can actually do something?
It matters what you want them to do. I think the offense will continue to improve. I think they need to play in a game where the defense isn't playing against a team that just can't score points. I don't know if that's going to be Dallas this week. I think before we thought Dallas would probably be a team that would give them some problems because they would be able to score even playing good defense. They still might be able to go get you, 24 points or something. But so far, this defense hasn't allowed that. And I think that has made the offense kind of say, hey, let's not do too much and turn the ball over and, lose the game that way. I think that's what was so hard about watching the Jets game last week, because you had two offenses saying, let's just not turn the ball over and hope our defense saves us. And New England just ended up saving the team more than the Jets defense did. But I don't think we'll see this offense even attempt to take those strides until they get in a game where they feel like they have to do it. I think they'll have different plays dialed up. I thought Billy O'Brien's opening script, very similar to the Josh McDaniels days of they drive down the field. Maybe they get a field goal. Maybe they score a touchdown, but that's probably one of the best parts of the game. And then sometimes that third quarter, whenever they get the ball after halftime, is another good time. But other than that, it just hasn't been much. And I don't know what's going to happen for the offense for you to be like, all right, now they're moving. Like, I don't know. Are they waiting for Tyquan Thornton to maybe have an impact? But I don't know what would make this offense scary to another defense.
Dev, Bill let Jacoby Myers go, and then it seems like he went and got Juju Smith-Schuster as his replacement. What was he smoking?
Do you remember? I was on this show back in the off season when it happened, and I said that was a mistake. I said letting Jacoby Myers go and replacing him with Juju. I just felt from even before you even step on the field, from a locker room, from a team standpoint of an undrafted free agent working his butt off to go and becoming your best receiver out there. And then you turn on the Raiders film and you're like, dang, who's Jacoby Myers? Is that the guy that was in New England? This guy has long hair. It looks a little different. Then you find out it is. And you're like, what are we doing? So I kind of knew that they would miss him a little bit. I think he's a guy that's able to run a lot of those routes like Edelman used to run, Wes Welker used to run, two-way goes, makes the offense, I think, a lot better on third down, having a guy like Jacoby. And they don't really have that. I think Pop Douglas is a guy that they kind of want to turn into that, but he's a young guy. It's hard to give those kind of options to a rookie fresh out. So you're hoping Kendrick Bourne can be that, but Kendrick Bourne's also probably one of your best route runners on the outside. So you're not really sticking him inside a lot. So I think right now that's where they have struggled greatly, is that when a team, like I watched the Jets game, I thought the Jets kind of shot themselves in the foot by not playing more man-to-man coverage and allowing that, the offense, even when they got pressure, the offense was able, Mac did a good job of taking what was there, and they were able to keep the chains moving a couple times. And in that kind of game, 3 drives was the difference of winning and losing.
Devin, sticking with Mac, that 58-yard completion to Brown on Sunday, it's Mac's second longest of his career in New England, his longest of the season. Is this a play calling thing, or is this just Mac isn't comfortable yet going deep when it comes to trying to get guys into the end zone?
No, I think that play was a good example of when he looked deep, somebody was open, and he was able to throw the ball. He's thrown the ball deep. He threw the ball deep to Douglas, I think, twice in the game. He was completely covered. He tried to throw the ball deep to Devontae Parker Sunday night against Miami, where Xavier Howard comes down with the interception. So the biggest thing when you watch these teams throw the ball down the field, there's guys that are open. And I think right now they don't have that. And I thought the offensive line did a better job Sunday against the Jets of, allowing him to have time. And when he had time, he was able to find some open receivers. Not all the time, but he was able to do it a lot more than in the other 2 games. So I think that's a part of it too. Can they protect to throw the ball down the field? And then, you got to get open. Receivers got to, get open and catch the ball. And I think that's a part of it. Even if you call a bunch of down the field plays, I think the Jets are getting killed because of that. But you watch the game, there are some down the field plays. Sometimes Zach Wilson doesn't hold the ball long enough, and then probably 80% of the times he's getting his head knocked off. So as a quarterback, you start getting hit all the time. You're not going to hold the ball and wonder if you're going to get hit or not. So I think the better they protect, the more guys get open, they'll be able to throw the ball down the field.
So to be clear for Shime, the professor, it's not in your mind an arm strength issue with Mac or an accuracy issue. It's a receivers that cannot get themselves open issue.
Yeah, I think combined with being able to protect long enough to throw the ball down the field. I think if you go and watch the all 22, I think that's when you really find out, like, hey, do they have plays designed to go down the field? Are there guys running deeper routes? And at times there are, and then at times it's not. It's a balance of all 3 things. The play calling, which to me coincides with your personnel and what you have. You have to play to that protection, and then guys getting open. I think that all kind of meshes together. And then lastly is what the defense is running. Like you can't just decide, hey, this game we're going to throw the ball down the field. Like when Miami played New England in week 2, New England had 3 safeties to start every play back deep. Tua can't just come out and say, hey, I'm throwing the ball deep. You have to figure out what they're going to do. Then once you figure out everybody's staying high, you run the ball. They were able to run the ball. So I think that has to do with it too. I think as fans, we sit there and we're like, just throw the ball down the field. Just throw the ball down the field. Do that. Get more like it's tough. I think it will help them. Let's throw some trick plays in there. Let's do different things like that. I think backs the defense up a little bit and allows you to do different things. But just coming out and saying, hey, we want to throw the ball backside one-on-one and throw a shot, I don't know if that's the best offense for the New England Patriots.
So, Devin, what's hard for me when I watch, and specifically there was one play in the Eagles game. Kendrick Bourne was running down the sidelines. Darius Slay had bit on play action, and they had him beat, and Kendrick Bourne was wide open, and Mac threw the ball to Kendrick Bourne, but the ball just kind of took so long to get there that Darius Slay was able to recover easily and almost intercept the ball. So, like, I watch a play like that, and for me, I see an issue with Mac's arm strength. But you believe that it's more so the receivers than it is necessarily Mac?
Well, I think, for one, I think you probably never played defensive back, so that was a great play by Slay.
And don't get me wrong, I take nothing away from him.
He was running with his head looking back on one side, flips his head around, takes off. He's a 4-3 guy. Kendrick's probably a 4-5 to 4-6 guy. So I think all of that, and I don't want the takeaway to be that it's the receiver's fault they're not throwing the ball. I think it's all things meshed together. So yeah, on that one play, I think Matt probably could have threw that ball over the right outside shoulder of KB. That allows it to make it even a harder play. But I don't know, even if he throws a perfect pass, I don't know if Slay still doesn't make that play. Like Slay was able to flip that head around and take off. But that was a hard play to make, and he made a really good play. A lot of times there's corners that are fast enough to make that play, but they usually get pass interference because they just run into the guy. Slay did a good job of that. So, but I don't know. I don't think that it's like all Mac's arm. I think that's an easy out when you watch the games and you only see like one, like in that game, there's one deep pass to go off of, and you say like, dang, he underthrew it. It's his fault. His arm's not strong enough. But that's like if you watch a game and Josh Allen only throws the ball down the field one time and he's short, you would never say that because he throws the ball down the field so often that you've seen him launch the ball 70 yards. New England just doesn't throw the ball down the field enough for you to really say, like, hey, Matt can't do that. We watched him throw some pretty good passes down the field in the years past. There's just not a lot of it. And I think, again, their personnel fits better for intermediate routes, some catch and run. That's their strength. And I think that's what they stick to. And I think for New England, if you go over the years, that's been their strength for a while now. It's not like, other than the Randy Moss years or some other years, it wasn't like they were just throwing the ball down the field to all of these super fast guys. It was Tom's accuracy, intermediate passes, chunk passes every now and again, some play action. It wasn't just straight drop back, throw 9 routes.
Devin, you've got Sunday Night Football this week and every week. Zach Wilson, have you seen a worse quarterback? And part 2, is there going to be some form of a mutiny on that team if they don't bring in someone else to take over?
I think the mutiny won't be against the staff or like Zach Wilson. It's just going to be frustration. The guy looked like a deer in headlights playing against New England, and he's been doing it now for the last 3 years. So some of the things you would expect, early in the game, he checks one of the plays and, Jabril Peppers is on the line of scrimmage outside of Judon, and we're all watching the game in the studio, and I'm like, this could be a good check. He's checking away from the blitz. And then they run the play. He runs the run play into the blitz. And I'm like, there's a safety on the line of scrimmage. Obviously, he's probably coming. We want to go away from that. So I think for that defense, it's hard. Like you went through last year, you played your butt off, and you couldn't win games because the offense and the quarterback just wasn't good enough. You get Aaron Rodgers, you get this new life, this new hope, and now you're back at square one. And I think you've seen that show up a little bit on the defense. They haven't played at the level they played at last year, time in and time again, because you get tired. Like, that's hard to do, to continue to do that, to show up like that. And that's one of my fears even for the Patriots defense, to have to do that week in and week out. If you don't play, a perfect game and get turnovers, then you kind of look and you're like, man, if we don't do it, we lose. And I think the Jets are at that point where they're saying we got to play perfect defense. That leads to frustration and a team that by the end of the season is kind of broken. Their problem is, you heard Matt Ryan. He's like, I have no interest. You watched the game on Sunday. Who would want to go in there? Colt McCoy's my age. We got drafted together. Matt Ryan's older than me. Carson Wentz has been beat up most of his career. Like, why would you really want to go in there and stand behind that line and just get your head knocked off and then the New York media criticize you for sucking every week? Like, I wouldn't be in a rush for that.
Have you ever been nut-tapped by a quarterback? And having played with Mac for a couple seasons, is he a dirty player?
Greg, I was shocked you didn't open the show. I thought this was going to be the highlight of our day, of us talking about this. I have never been nut-tapped by anybody. That's not my routine of friendly banter and stuff. I won't call Mac a dirty player because I know him personally, and I think he's a good dude, he's a good kid. But I will say he has to stop being around these incidences. Like, it won't matter what any former teammate says, current teammate says. Like, it's getting to the point where, is it on purpose? Did this happen? Is it intentional? Like, it's not going to matter because once you're involved in too many of these situations, it is what it is. Like we can't come back and say, like, no, this is what it was meant to do. There's a lot of players that have played this game and they're not involved in any of these things. So I think he does need to do a better job of finding his way out of whatever it is you want to call it, the twisting of the ankle. I think Chicago was like the kick on a slide or something. And then even last year with, cutting my guy in the corner in Miami, Eli Apple, like all of these different things. I think for anybody, you can't keep defending the same thing. So I think he needs to do a better job of that. I don't think he's a dirty player or a dirty person. And I think somewhere along the line of his competitive edge, he's doing things that, you don't really need to have on the football field ever.
Dev, one thing that we've been talking about is the lack of putting offensive weapons around Mac Jones and high-end offensive weapons. And the question became, whose decision is that? Is that a Bill Belichick saying, okay, here's my budget that Robert's given me? Or is it Robert saying, okay, you got the budget, Bill, now just go spend, and Bill saying, I want to spend on these, third, second tier type of players. I almost feel like if Robert wants guys, he'll cut the check and get guys.
Yeah, I don't know. I think for most of my career, all my career, those two guys have always been on an alignment. Like even when I did my contract negotiations, there was no, me talking to Kraft and Kraft saying this and then Bill saying that. It was always me talking to one person, and if I did end up talking to both of them, it was always the same message. So I've always saw them as a line. Why you don't end up, I think it's tough because you do draft some guys. You drafted Nikhil in the first round. Tyquan Thornton's a second rounder. It just so happens that, the year you draft Nikhil, after Nikhil, you get A.J. Brown, you get D.K. Metcalf, you get Deebo Samuel, you get different guys that, I think you look at it and you're like, all right, we got this guy early first rounder. This is great. We finally got it. And then a year or two goes by and everybody's like, damn, we blew it. We should have got these guys. So I think that investment was there. I think New England just might want to turn towards paying the high-end price for one of these receivers. You look at what Tyreek Hill was able to do for the Dolphins offense. Yeah, it's a lot of money that he's making, but I mean, if you argue, hey, is it worth it? Yeah, the Dolphins are 3-0. The offense looks way different than it's ever looked before because of his speed and what he can do. So I think that might be something as they move forward that I would say overall isn't something that when you go back through the history of New England, they've never really done that, pay a high-priced wide receiver. But I think the way the league is moving now, your whole offense can change with just one of those guys. And I think that might be something that they want to look to invest in, not just getting one of the guys, but going out there and trying to get the absolute top guy out there that is available. Like next year is that T. Higgins, somebody like that, like getting one of those guys that you think overall will change the whole dynamic of your offense.
Devin, extraordinary as always.
Yeah,
always a pleasure to have you on.
The best.
Your call on Sunday for the Patriots and the Cowboys.
Who I got?
Yep.
I'm never picking against the Patriots.
All right, good.
I'm always going to pick the Patriots.
like
if you
me.
haven't seen on Sunday,
Yeah.
Football Night in America, I'm 0-4.
That is it.
Maybe I should pick against the Patriots, and that might help them win. Hey, but Courtney, shout out you, man. You out here going viral because of a little Bill Belichick, Taylor Swift. You continue to bring out the Swiftie in them. So,
Devin, I was getting little
rolling.
smiles throughout the interview, and I said, here's my chance. I've got him right where I want him.
I'm sure every Swiftie is very appreciative of you.
I do it for my fans.
Do you think that's a real relationship or a charade?
I saw Elle Duncan went to town. She said it's a charade. I am not a Swiftie at all. I broke out my two songs that I know, Bad Blood and Shake It Off, on air, and I'm going to keep them rolling, but I have no idea. But I was told that usually when she's dating someone, it's not public. So it's probably a good time for their podcast. Shout out to Kelsey's podcast. They're getting a lot of love.
Right.
Yeah.
And
All
Travis likes his coffee black, normally. I'm just keeping it 100.
Hey, I hear you.
All right, Devin McCourty, we'll talk to you again next week.
All right, guys, enjoy the weekend.